Hello everybody, this is Tip Top MTG here today with another Ikoria Layer of Behemoth spoiler video. So in today's video, I'm just going to be breaking down all the spoilers that came out today, kind of analyzing them, giving you my thoughts, telling you what I think they're going to do with the standard metagame, all that. So why don't we just jump right into this. Starting off, we have Drannith Healer. It's a 2-cost creature, human cleric, and it says whenever you cycle a card, you gain a life, but it also has cycling 1, so it's another card that cares about you cycling cards. My only problem with this is that sometimes it makes you cycle cards you don't want to because you want to get a trigger, but I mean, overall, I like the cycling mechanic, so this card just seems decent. Next, we have Keensight Mentor. It's a 3-cost creature, human cleric, and when it enters the battlefield, put a vigilance counter on target non-human creature you control. So again, we're seeing a bonder kind of person here who's gonna take the monsters and make them bigger, and then pay 2, tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with vigilance. So obviously, vigilance tribal here, pretty good. We have Of One Mind. It's a 3-cost blue sorcery. And it says this spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a human and a non-human and draw 2 cards. So if you control a human and a non-human, it's a 1-cost draw 2. That is not bad. This is a better divination in every single way, unless you're not playing any humans in your deck, or I guess any non-humans. But yeah, if you're running a blue deck and for some reason you're running divination and you have at least a creature and a human and a non-human, you might as well replace them with these. So pretty good in limited. We have a Bushmeat Poacher. It's a 4-cost creature, human soldier. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice another creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Draw a card. That draw card there really adds to the card. I could see people trying to slot this into a red-black sacrifice deck. You are gaining life equal to their toughness. You are drawing a card, and it's a sacrifice trigger. So yeah, definitely an interesting card. We have Dusk Mentor. It's a 3-cost creature, human monk, and when it enters the battlefield, put a lifelink counter on target non-human creature you control. So this is another mentor. We saw the white mentor that cared about vigilance. This one gives lifelink, and you pay 2 and tap it, and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with lifelink, which is a very big deal because you're gonna then be gaining more life. So pretty good card. I mean, not bad. Now, you do have to be able to put lifelink counters on things or have a lot of stuff with lifelink, but black definitely has lifelink stuff, so I could see someone trying to build a lifelink deck with this being one of the payoffs. We have Sanctuary Smasher. It's a 6-cost creature, a Rhino Beast, first strike, cycling 3, and whenever you cycle it, put a first strike counter on target creature you control. So this is just another one in a cycle that just does this very similar thing. It's okay. We have Caller Fright Mentor. It's a 3-cost human creature, human warrior, and it says whenever it enters the battlefield, put a menace counter on target non-human creature you own. Now, menace is one of the menace and trample are the 2 mechanics I've seen the most tribal for, so this one might actually end up seeing some play. And it says pay 3, tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with menace. At least in limited, you might be able to throw together some like menace tribal. We have Almighty Brushwag. It's a 1-cost creature, Brushwag trample, 4-cost, or not 4-cost. Oh my god, it has 1/1 and it has trample, which isn't very useful as a 1/1. But if you pay 4, it gets +3/+3. It's meh. It's kind of just filler. We have Farfinder. It's a 3-cost creature fox with vigilance, and whenever it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put into your hand, then shuffle your library. You know, I've noticed since MTG Arena has been a thing, we've seen a lot more searching of people's libraries in Standard. Like, this feels like a very commandery card. It's a, I might prefer to play Burnished Heart Elk or something like that. But this feels very commandery. Normally they don't like people shuffling constantly, but with a lot of their tournaments moving online, it makes a lot of sense that they are starting to incorporate more searching and shuffling your library. So, very interesting. We have Zenith Flare. It's a 4-cost instant, and it deals X damage to any target, and you gain X life, where X is the number of cards with cycling in your graveyard. So, pretty good. It allows you to turn all the cards that you've discarded into pure damage. You might throw this into a teamer deck, so you're going to add blue there, and make this maybe an instant and sorcery matter, and so then you're either casting spells or cycling spells, throwing them in your graveyard, getting a bunch of value that way. I could totally see that being a deck. We have a Sonorous Howl Bonder. It's a 3-cost, black and red, so it can either be in mono black, mono red, or a mix. And it says creature, human warrior, 2/2, menace, and each creature you control with menace can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. So this basically turns menace into, now instead of having to block with 2 creatures, you have to block with 3. If you're running a menace tribal deck, this is in it. It just makes menace so much better. We have Necropanther. It's a 3-cost black and white creature, cat nightmare, 3/3 with mutate for 4, so it costs more to mutate it, but whenever it mutates, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you're able to take maybe some of the creatures that you mutated before, and that the creature that it was mutated onto died, return it to the battlefield. Now they won't be mutated, they'll be able to mutate themselves, but it's definitely an interesting little ability there that allows you to reduce some of the card disadvantage you get by playing these. Remember, these are kind of just like auras. We have Song of Creation. It's a 4-cost green, white, not green, white, green, blue, red enchantment. It says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. That's a powerful effect, especially in those colors. Whenever you cast the spell, draw 2 cards. That's insane. And at the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. So the idea here is that what you're going to do is you're going to draw a card each turn, and you're going to turn your library into a top decking machine. And maybe you're going to have some more draw abilities in here, but generally you're going to be able to play as many lands as you can, not as many, but you're going to be able to, like, maybe play a spell, draw 2 lands, play them both, you know. If you're really hurting, this may help if your hand is just not helping you, but I don't know if I'd really want to play this. Next, we have Offspring's Revenge. It's a 5-cost red, white, and black, which I believe are actually the human colors, so it's kind of interesting. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile target red, white, or black creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1. It gains haste until your next turn. So if you have something with a really powerful ability that died, just bring it back as a 1/1. Yeah, very powerful ability. I don't know if it's actually going to see play, because a lot of this set is very expensive, but I'm not sure. We have Zerda the Dawnwaker. It's a 3-cost red, white, a legendary creature, elemental fox, and it is a companion, and so each permanent card in your starting deck must have an activated ability. So literally every permanent. So you can't have any lands that don't have any activated abilities, which, I mean, that's kind of hard to find. The lands that don't have any activated abilities. And then, so all of your creatures. So you can throw maybe a Llanowar Elf. I mean, that's not in either of the colors, but it has to be activated, not just like a keyword. I don't know. But it says abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce mana to less than 1 mana. And then pay 1 and tap. Target creature can't block this turn. Now, the reason I think that last ability is in there is so that it has an activated ability. Although that wouldn't be the first time a companion doesn't match its own rules. So, yeah, if you're playing a red and white deck and you just happen to have every single permanent card have activated abilities, okay, fine. You know, you would throw this in. There's no reason not to unless you really need that sideboard space. But it's very narrow. A lot of these are narrow, though I think we saw today, there's another one right here, which I think could actually see play, maybe. Jagathana the Wellspring. It's a 5-cost legendary creature, elemental elk. No card in your starting deck has more than one of the same mana symbol in its mana cost. So what that means is you can't have a spell that costs 3 white. It can only cost 3 white, or 4 white, or 4 white blue, but it cannot be 4 blue, or it can't be 4 blue white. There can only be one of each. And so this is restricting you. You can't play anything with double devotion basically to it, but you do then get access to this card, and it says tap, add Wooburg. This can't be spent on generic mana cost. So if you have something like Joda from Historic on the field, basically once per turn you just cast something from your hand. So I totally see that being maybe even a Brawl deck. You might see a Brawl deck where you have Joda as the lead, Historic Brawl obviously, and then you have him as your companion, and then you can just once per turn kind of just cast something for free without even tapping any of your lands. That could be kind of interesting. I'd have to take a look at the average deck. I'm sure there are some decks that are just naturally in green and red not gonna have more than one, like a mono red deck. Okay, a mono red deck. Say your mono red deck doesn't have anything with double red, which would mean you can't use any of the demigods, because those have double. So if you were to take out the demigod, which is a major part of mono red, and Embercleave, those are 2 major hits, you could technically have him in here. So I don't know if that's really worth it, but if you're running a green or red deck and you happen to not have any double devotion, basically, throw this guy in. We have Eerie Ultimatum. So this is the cycle that they were referencing. They had, I believe, a cycle of 5 of these before, and so now they're doing more of them, and so they are hyper hard, like super hard to cast. You need 2 white, 3 black, 2 green, and it's a sorcery, and it says return any number of permanents with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. So in Commander, if you're running those 3 colors, you're not guaranteed to be running this because you may not care that much about permanents, but it's a card you might consider running as like a game ender. Like, you mill your entire library and then you put every single permanent onto the battlefield because they all have different names. I don't know if this is really worth it. I mean, it's 7. I know there are cards that can just take, I believe for 9, you can just take all cards from all creature cards from all graveyards and put them on the battlefield. Although this hits permanents, including lands, planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments. This is a really crazy card. We have Emergent Ultimatum. It's black, green, and blue. Search your library for up to 3 mono-colored cards with different names and exile them. An opponent chooses one of those cards, shuffle that card into your library. You may cast the other cards without paying their cost, exile this. So basically, you're going to take 3 cards that all do the same thing and say, hey, which one of these do you not want me to have? Basically, which one of these is the worst version? So you may throw... there are just so many things. You could throw Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul just straight there and be like, okay, which Titan do you not like? That's the one I don't get. It allows you to search for the perfect thing and then lets you play it. Now, your opponents do get to pick whatever one is the worst of it, but generally, if you're going to use this to actually like do something in particular, you're just going to pick 3 of the same thing. So, Agent of Treachery, Ikoria, Best the Sea Gods, and Treason, or not Treason, Betrayal, or what that enchantment that lets you steal things. Either way, very fun and powerful card. We have Ruinous Ultimatum, which just says destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control, so all their artifacts, enchantments, creatures, planeswalkers, for 7. I know you have to be playing those 3 colors particularly. I'm seeing these mostly in a commander sense. I don't see these being played in standard, although this is one of the first standard board wipes that is asymmetrical, so in a while at least. So a lot of these cards are feeling like commander cards, but they're in standard. Then we have Narset. So this is probably what was in the title. Narset of the Ancient Way. It's a 1 blue, red, white legendary planeswalker Narset, and you can pay, so she enters with 4 loyalty. +1, you gain 2 life, and then you can add red, blue, or white, and spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells, so she's going to help you ramp. -2, draw a card, you may then discard a card, then you may discard a card, so you could just draw a card. And when you discard a non-land card this way, it deals damage equal to the card's converted mana cost to your target creature or planeswalker, so you can basically turn cards in your hand into removal spells. And then -6, you get an emblem with, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this emblem deals 2 damage to any target, so not super crazy. I mean, the emblem can be very devastating, but it's not like Teferi's emblem, where it's like, whenever you draw a card, exile something. That's crazy. This is just okay. I mean, it's not bad. She's gonna come out, end up with 5 loyalty next turn, 6, and then the turn after that you could finally ultimate if you wanted to sack her. But in a set full of creatures, I don't know if this is really gonna do that well. And then we loop back to the beginning. So that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you thought of all these spoilers in the comments down below. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.